Your family can't wait around for your internet to catch up with your lifestyle. You need the mind-blowing speed you can only get with RevOn broadband internet.
Mom? Mommy?
With speeds up to 70 megabits per second. Watch more, listen more, talk more, work more, and play more, all at the same time. Switch to RevOn today and get 3 months free installation, and a chance to win a grand prize worth more than $5,000. RevOn broadband internet. What are you waiting for? Join the revolution.
Good evening, Bahamas. This is NB12 broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Here's what's making news tonight. Algernon Cargill fired from NIB following the findings of the costly investigation. The F&M chairman also weighs in. 20 Faith Temple teachers let go due to the school's debt. Plus, straw vendors on Paradise Island aren't happy campers. Those stories and much more on the way. I'm NIKIA DEVEAUX, and NB12 starts right now. Thanks again for joining us here at NB12. National Insurance Board Chairman Algernon Cargill has been terminated from his post following a recommendation by NIB's board to fire him yesterday. Christina McNeil reports.
After spending nearly $1 million on a forensic audit, the National Insurance Board's Board of Directors is just where it was about a year ago, after voting yesterday to fire suspended NIB Director Algernon Cargill. NB12 can confirm Cargill has been fired from the National Insurance Board. Cargill was placed on leave last November pending the outcome of a forensic investigation by accounting firm Grant Thornton Bahamas. It's a decision PLP Chairman Bradley Roberts says seems like the best option to restore confidence in NIB.
When the Board of Directors, it appears to me, were allowed to be their responsibility was circumvented. They didn't know what was going on in the board, and it appears as though the chairman of the board and the director, Mr. Cargill, ran that as though it was their own fiefdom, to the complete lack of knowledge of the other members of the board. I would await the outcome of it, but it seemed to be the logical conclusion from my vantage point.
But the cost of the audit is raising eyebrows in some circles. $861,606. That's how much government spent on that forensic report that put the board in the same position it was in 7 months ago when it first voted to fire Cargill. It means nearly $1 million spent on investigating $723,333 worth of bonuses to NIB executives, among other things. Roberts, however, is justifying the cost, comparing it to huge sums spent on 2 commissions of inquiry under the Ingram administration.
And I understand some people have raised the question that the economy is in such a shape and that we should not have been spending this kind of money. Well, in 1992, when the commission of inquiry was held by Mr. Ingram, the economy of the Bahamas was at a very low ebb as well, too. So if you want a comparison, there it is. When you go to a doctor and the doctor says, this is what is wrong with you and here's your bill, you're going to turn around and say to the doctor, well, doctor, these costs is outrageous. The doctor is a professional, the accountants are professional, lawyers are professional. They have their fees and one is obliged to pay them.
The forensic audit found that bonuses may have been improperly paid to Cargill and other executives. Earlier this week, Cargill defended those bonuses and salaries that were awarded to him and other executives between 2010 and 2012. He contended that those bonuses and salaries had the approval of NIB's Human Resources Committee and then NIB Chairman Patrick Ward. Yesterday, Minister of Labor and National Insurance Shane Gibson justified the review, claiming an extensive examination of allegations made against Cargill was needed. Cargill today told NB12 he will not be issuing a statement on the matter and referred all questions to his attorneys. Reporting for NB12, I'm Christina McNeil.
Well, the opposition also speaking out on the NIB reports today, saying it was unnecessary for the government to spend almost $1 million on the audit. Celeste Nixon has that angle.
The government wasted more than $800,000 of public funds on the recently completed NIB forensic review, according to F&M Chairman Darron, who claimed the exercise was futile.
It is clear to see that this is one of the most expensive witch hunts that the country has seen. Almost $1 million for a conclusion that we knew from perhaps the second or third day that the PLP was elected would happen. That they had their sights on Algernon Cargill at the National Insurance Board, and no matter what he had done, stellar or otherwise, they were determined to remove him from office. Shane Gibson has done a disservice to this country in squandering money. He ought to do the decent thing, but we know that's never going to happen.
Cash said the amount spent on the review was unjustifiable, and the board should have intervened and told the minister that it was unnecessary.
If they spent $100,000 for an exercise, that would be too much, because at the end of the day, this is a question of accountability. You appoint a board, and the board is responsible for keeping the director and the executives accountable for their actions. For whatever period of time would have been required, the board could have undertaken extensive assessments of Mr. Cargill's performance in office without spending $1 million on it.
Cash also stated that the board should be held accountable along with Cargill.
The board also should have said to the minister, with all due respect, Minister, what you are directing is something that can be done very competently by this board. They are now complicit in squandering the people's money, and half of them ought to be leaving as well. If Mr. Cargill is to be held accountable, a complicit board also needs to be held accountable, because they basically laid down and allowed Shane Gibson to interfere with the National Insurance Board and have his way.
Reporting for MB12, I'm Celeste Nixon.
In other news, teachers at Faith Temple Christian Academy will be on the unemployment line this summer after the school closes its doors for good next month. Just last year, Faith Temple shut down its high school and terminated nearly 20 teachers. The impending closure of the primary school and nursery comes as the school reported a decline in students and an increase in debt. Officials say it's the result of the New Providence Road Improvement Project and the economic downturn. Vonik Toot reports.
As of June, 20 teachers and administrative staff members here at Faith Temple Christian Academy will be without jobs. Officials announced this morning that the school will be shut down next month because it is $1.5 million in debt.
That we have got to make this decision.
Executive Chairman Bishop Philemon Wilson says Bahamas Faith Temple Ministries pumped $1 million into the school to try and keep it afloat. However, it cannot afford to incur further debt. Officials informed teachers back in November that their services would not be needed after this term. He says the challenge is to now find money to take care of financial obligations.
Our teachers that we would have had to have terminated their services, we have committed ourselves to the paying of their redundancies. Our teachers who are presently on staff, we committed ourselves to paying them until August of this year.
129 students currently attend Faith Temple. The closure of the nursery and primary school come 1 year after Faith Temple closed its high school. More than 17 teachers were let go at the time. Second grade teacher BETSY CENATUS says it will be hard to move on after 18 years at that institution. She says she has not yet secured another job.
I started here from K3. and move up to grade 2 now, but it's not a good feeling.
What's next for you?
Pardon?
What will you be doing next?
Well, I put applications out and, I'll just see what happens.
Bishop Wilson says Faith Temple has lost 225 students over the past 3 years. He blames the economic downturn and controversial roadworks in the Prince Charles Drive area for the decline.
The road has really impacted our situation, the loss of students. There was a time when our parents had to go sea breeze around Fox Hill, the prison, to get to school, and that was very difficult for them.
After the school closes in June, Bishop Wilson says they will have to either lease the property or sell it, meaning Bahamas Faith Ministries may be forced to find a new location. Administrative Assistant Janet Hanna says they're determined to close this chapter with a bang.
We're going to finish strong. We know that June is here. You've heard the sad news, but we have a task to do. And I think that for the most of them, they are ready, and I know that they're going to do well wherever they go.
I've got a great, big, beautiful dream that we'll work together on the very same team. I've got a great, big, beautiful dream.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonique Tude.
Meantime, the 30 employees who were fired from the Rio Palace Resort Tuesday will not get their jobs back, but will all reportedly be compensated. The attorneys representing the group met with labor officials and hotel management today to discuss the possibility of the employees being reinstated. That meeting began at 3 p.m. The terminated employees waited at the Clarence A. Bain building for the labor board's decision. Many of them told us off camera that they were confident they will be returned to their positions. On Tuesday, the employees received letters from management which stated that they were being released due to gross misconduct. That move came 24 hours after the 30 employees stood outside the resort with placards speaking out against what they called poor working conditions. Glendon Roll, one of the group's attorneys, said the majority of the workers who took part in Monday's demonstration were either off or on break. He told us the attorneys argued that the workers were let go without due cause.